Hi, this is Peter McLaughlin, and today I want to talk about spiritual attachments. And this is part one of a two-part series on spiritual attachments. This part one is what is a spiritual attachment, and how do you identify that you have one, and what do you do to get rid of it. And part two is an actual session where I guide you through the process of removing this spiritual attachment. So 13 years ago when I began this work, I had no idea what a spiritual attachment is. I only discovered all of this sort of through trial and error by working with hundreds of people, because from time to time it really does come up. And the way I think about what a spiritual attachment is thinking about a parasite. So if you have a physical parasite, something you've received from food you've eaten that was undercooked or not washed, you will have side effects from that. And it may be that you know you have this issue, and it may be that you don't know you have this issue. And it could be the same with this energetic, spiritual attachment. Think about what a spiritual attachment is. So the way I think about this is that it's a disincarnated person, a person who's died, who doesn't want to leave the earth. They don't want to leave this plane. And it could be because they're afraid of what comes next. Either they were an atheist and they're afraid that there's just nothing, or they may fear that they're going to go to hell because of something that they did or something that they didn't do. I've also run into cases where it could be a person who feels tremendous guilt about someone who's still here. And they don't want to leave because they feel this guilt and they feel like maybe they can do something to help. It could also be a person that's just super attached to this plane, attached to their possessions and so forth. The way we can get these spiritual attachments, the way we can be in a position of vulnerability where our spiritual armor, if you will, is down, would be under the following circumstances. A person is high or they're drunk. They could be having sex with a person who has one of these attachments, and in this place of wide openness, almost like a spiritual STD, you can acquire this attachment. It can also be in a period of extreme emotional upset. So a person could be really, really angry, or they could be super, super depressed for a while. And now they've opened themselves to this, or created this vulnerability to this attachment. The other thing I like to think about with all of this is that the law of free will in the universe is always in effect. So in a sense, when we receive an attachment, it's almost like we've tacitly agreed to it. And I can explain this a little better if you think about this analogy. You have a block party, and the door to your house is wide open, and all of your neighbors and friends are walking in and out of your house all day long. The party ends, and you notice that after the party ends, there's a person sitting over there on your couch. You don't know who this person is. And they technically didn't violate your free will because the door was wide open. But they can also stay there on your couch until and unless you ask them to leave. And if you ask them to leave and they refuse to leave, you have recourse. You can pick up your phone, dial 911, and call the police. And the police will bring as many officers as necessary to make sure that this person leaves your house. In this analogy, there are two important factors. One is that you are very clear that this person doesn't have the right to be in your body, in your mind, in your being. And number two, that you have this help. So the help that I'm talking about would be an ascended master, and that could be Jesus, it could be Buddha. In other religions, in other philosophies, it could be someone else. Sometimes it's even a person that the client doesn't recognize, but they feel very comfortable in the presence of this powerful and loving being. Number two, angels. So when you call these loving and powerful entities in on your behalf, the police, number one, and number two, you're very clear that this attachment has no right to be with you, to be in your body, your mind, your spirit, or your being. Now you can begin to move them out. And this is another piece that's really important to consider from my perspective. That over the time that I've worked with clients and with these issues, I started with this concept of this attachment is horrible, it has to be sort of cut out or ripped out of this person. And we would go through sometimes a real struggle of making this happen. And I changed over time to this concept of compassion. that if we think of these spirits, these disincarnated spirits, as just being confused and scared human beings who've latched on to someone else, then it's important to treat them that way and to let them know that they are going to a better place, that these angels are loving beings, that they're going to escort them lovingly into the light, that the light is really their true home, that when they get there, they will be greeted with love by people who love them in their lifetime. And when this happens, I have found that it's a lot easier. So there are really kind of two elements to this process once you get to the place where you're ready to move out this attachment. One is being very, very firm. Again, that this is your body, your mind, your spirit, your being, and that they have no right to be here and you demand they leave. But at the same time, encouraging them that where they are going is better. Having that compassion for them, that when they go into the light, they will be entering their true home. So after you watch this video, be sure to watch the second in the series. The second in the series is what guides you into this state. It helps you to surround yourself with white protective light. It helps you to call in your ascended master. It helps you to call in your angels and go through the process of removing these entities. And the other thing that I might suggest is before you do the second video, to check out the one on the pendulum. Just check and see, do I have any attachments? And if so, how many do I have? Is it 1 or is it 13? Because at the end of the second video, it will give you an opportunity to ask the Ascended Master and to ask the angels, did I get these removed? Did I get all of them removed? And then the last thing I would say is you can use the pendulum again after you do the second video, after you go through the removal process, and see if you were successful by using the pendulum, either partially or fully successful. So good luck to you. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments section and I will attempt to answer them for you. And then the other thing I would say is that none of this deals with the really darker aspects, demons and so forth. If that ever came up in my practice, and I can honestly say it hasn't, but if it did come up, I don't think I would want to deal with that. I think that starts to get into things like exorcism and so forth. So good luck to you, and again, best wishes. If you like this track, remember to click like, the subscribe button, and the bell notification.